So we will start today, that is water pollution and control. We are discussing in the previous classes. This is the continuation of the class, and today our lecture is 18. Now these are the some of the objectives of the today's class. First of all, we will do some problems based on rate constant of the BOD reaction. Second objective of our class is you can define the hardness of water. The third one is you can classify the hardness of water. And the fourth one is after this class you can know the process of removal of hardness of water. Generally we have two types of hardness that we will discuss in detail. So these are all our objectives of today's class. Next, this is the recapitulation of previous class. In our previous class, these are the things, these are the topics that we have covered. Like we have calculated the BOD problems of a given water sample. We have solved some of the numericals. We have also derived the rate constant of the BOD reaction, which is very important. Very frequently, you can have this type of question discuss about the derivation of rate constant of the BOD reaction, or how can you derive the rate constant of the BOD reaction. These are the some of the very common questions that you can have in your exams. And lastly, we have solved some of the problems which is based on the BOD reactions. Next, this is the just quick review. Whatever I have taught you, I have discussed you, whether you can remember or not. That is the for that I have given one question, that is what is the order of BOD reaction, and for this question you have 10 seconds time. After 10 seconds you have to answer the question, what is the order of the BOD reaction. So your 10-second time is over now. Yes, the BOD reaction, obviously the first order reaction. Okay, that means only first order reaction, that means the rate of the BOD reaction only depend on one reagent or one reactant. If we increase the concentration of that reactant, the rate of the BOD reaction will increase. If we decrease the concentration, the rate will decrease. Understand? That is why it's called first order kinetics. It will follow the first order kinetics. Okay, now I have given one more question, that is the problems which is based on the rate constant of BOD reaction, which we have already derived. So question is, what will be the ratio of BOD 5 at 20 degrees centigrade to that of BOD 2.5 of 35 degrees centigrade? That means one BOD we have measured after 5 days, and another BOD we have measured after 2.5 days. Whatever BOD we have measured after 5 days, that is at 20 degrees centigrade, and whatever BOD we have measured after 2.5, that is at 35 degrees centigrade. So these two ratio that you have to determine. Now let's check how we can solve this problem. Okay. Yes, so these are the data already you know, or formulas already you know. That is BOD at time t, that is equals to C0 into 1 minus e to the power minus kt, where BOD at time t, that is the at time t, whatever BOD we have. C0 is the initial concentration of the dissolved oxygen, or the total dissolved oxygen required for the complete reaction, that is C0. K equals to K. What is K? K is the rate constant of the BOD reaction, and T is the time. Generally time can be 5 days, time can be 2.5 days. That is according to the question that you have to put. Next one more equation that you have to use here to solve this numerical, that is kt equals to k20 into theta t minus to the power t minus 20. Okay, now what is kt? Kt is the rate constant at temperature T. Look here, the T is a capital while T is in capital, that means the temperature, while T is in the small, that means that is the time. So here Kt is the rate constant at temperature T, that is equals to K20. That means the rate constant, whatever rate constant we have at 20 degrees centigrade, into theta. What is theta? Theta is a constant and for which the value is 1.047. That is to the power T minus 20. Whatever the temperature is, that is minus 20. This is the theta to the power. Okay, so this equation also, these two equation, based on these two equation, we can solve this problem. Now let's get started. So kt equals to k20 theta to the power t minus 20, that we have seen already. Now here kt, that is equals to 35 degrees centigrade. So k35, that is equals to k20, that means 20 degrees centigrade, into 1 minus 0.047. Why? Because here theta, the value of the theta is 1.047. That is why here we have taken the value of theta, that is 1.047 to the power 15. Why 15? Because t is your 35 and 20, the 35 minus 20, that should be 15. So what will be the next? Yeah, this will be the next. So 1.047 to the power 15 approximately 2, that means k35, that is equals to 2 into k20. Thus we have converted this k35 in terms of k20, which is required for solving the problem. Okay, now hence BOD 2.5. Okay, BOD 2.5, look here, BOD 2.5 we have measured at 35 degrees centigrade. So BOD 2. So using this equation we can write down BOD 2.5 equals to C0 into 1 minus t to the power minus k into t. So k into t, k35, you already we have derived that k35 equals to 2 into k20. So instead of k35 we have written here 2 into k20 into 2.5. Our t is your time, that is our 2.5. Understand? So BOD 2.5 equals to C0 into 1 minus e to the power minus 2 into k20. 2 into k20, why? Because instead of k35 already we have derived that k35 equals to 2 into k20. So we have written here 2 into k20 into 2.5. Okay, so next that means that is equals to C0 1 minus e to the power minus 5 into k20. So that means this is equals to that means the ratio will be 1. The same value, look here, C0 into 1 minus e to the power minus 5 into k20. This looks like BOD 5. So that's why BOD 5 divided by BOD 2.5, the same ratio we have, that is 1:1. So this is the answer. Understand? So if you have this type of question like this, you have to first identify which equations you have to use for solving the problem. After that you can solve the problem very easily. The problems are very scoring, so if you practice the problem very well, you can do it very you can do it properly, and you can get the full marks also. Okay, Very easy questions, very easy numericals. Only you have to identify which equations, what are the equations that we will use for solving the problem. That we have to identify first. So we are discussing the chemical parameters, that is about the BOD. We are discussing all this about the BOD. Today we will discuss about the total hardness, another chemical parameter that we will discuss today, that is the hardness of water. Understand? Okay, so this is the recapitulation of the previous classes. Derivation of rate constant, already you know, rate is the change of reactant with respect to time. The change of reactant with respect to time. And why negative term? Because every time the reactant is decreasing, the concentration of reactant is decreasing with the time. That is why the rate will be here. One negative term we have to incorporate here. Okay, or the rate can be also written by this: the change of product concentration with respect to time. And that is equals to K, the rate constant. We denoted the rate constant of any equation. We denoted the rate constant of any equation with the K. So this is our rate equation. Now we will see this is the derivation. So derivation of rate constant, very important. Okay, so already we have seen, now we will see at a glance. Just this is the repetition of the class. So minus dc by dt, that is proportional to the concentration. So what is this? C C is the concentration of dissolved oxygen. Okay, so the amount of dissolved oxygen consuming per unit time, that is obviously proportional to the concentration of the dissolved oxygen present in water. So this is the proportionality constant K, and that is obviously the rate constant. Here C is the concentration of oxygen at time t, and K is the rate constant of the BOD reaction. Now very important, this integration. Now we will integrate this thing, that is integration of minus dc by c, that is equals to K integration dt. So this will be the next step. That means minus dc by c, integration of minus dc by c, that is minus ln c, that is equals to kt plus z. Z equals to your integration constant. Now we have to find out what is the z value by putting this at initially time equals to 0. That means initially the concentration is C0. So if we put all these things here, then we can easily get the value of z, and which is minus ln C0. Yes, of course. Okay, so minus ln C0, that is the z value. Now if we put the value of z here, that means minus C0, this equation will become like this: minus ln C, that is equals to Kt minus ln C0. So ln C0 by C, that is equals to Kt. So C equals to C0 into, if we remove this ln, then we have to one e term, exponential term will come, that is e to the power minus Kt. So next, if we do C0 minus C, that is equals to C0 into 1 minus e to the power minus Kt. That means in both sides we have taken the C0 minus, and then C0, that is the initial concentration, and C the concentration of dissolved oxygen at time t. So C0 minus C we can write down as the BOD at time t, that is equals to C0 1 minus e to the power minus Kt. This derivation is very important because you can have this type of question: prove that BOD at time t, that is equals to C0 into 1 minus e to the power minus Kt. Okay, very important. So that's why I am just repeating once again the derivation. Understand? So you have to practice this derivation very well. Okay, next come to the next topic, that is the hardness of water. Very important. Okay, so already, and also you have done the hardness related practical in your chemistry lab also. So what is hardness? How we can define? Actually, hardness is the soap consuming capacity. Soap consuming capacity of the water is generally defined as the hardness of water. Now, hardness, why the water is showing hardness? Why? What are the responsible compounds that is causing the hardness of water? Okay. So hardness of water is due to generally presence of bicarbonates and chlorides and sulfates and carbonates of calcium and magnesium. Generally calcium, magnesium, bicarbonate, chloride, sulfates, carbonates are responsible compounds for the hard nature of the water. Now, what will happen? What are the difference between soft water and hard water? Soft water generally produce lather with the soap. Why? Because this is the soap, sodium stearate. Okay, with the help soap with the water, generally it will produce the stearic acid and the lather will form. Understand? The lather will form in presence of stearic acid, in presence of soft water. Now, if we use the hard water, what will happen? Hard water, that means in our water we have calcium, magnesium salts like chloride, sulfates, it may be carbonates, it may be bicarbonates. Okay, so what will happen? Then soap will react with this salt and it will form this type of insoluble scum, calcium, magnesium stearate. Okay, this type of insoluble scum, insoluble scales, they will form. So that is why lather will not form with the hard water. These are the differences between soft water and hard water. Now we will see what are the disadvantages of hardness of water. If we use the hard water, what will happen? In domestic purpose, if we use the hard water, in washing purpose, if we use the hard water, what will happen? The soap consuming capacity is very with the hard water, the soap cannot form the leather, so that is why the washing will not be properly will be done. So that is why for washing purpose we cannot use the hard water. For bathing purpose also we cannot use the hard water. For cooking purpose, if we use a cooking purpose, like what will happen? For cooking purpose we are using heat, right? So at that heat all the salts will form a scale, will form a layer inside the wall of the cooking utensils, and which will be very harmful for the utensils. So that is why for the cooking purpose also we cannot use the hard water, and also for the drinking purpose also we cannot use the hard water, as it will affect our digestive system, and also we will have some of the other biochemical effects for consumption of the hard water. So these are all the disadvantages of the hardness for using the hard water in domestic purpose. Now, what are the disadvantages of hardness of water for the industrial purpose? If we use industrial purpose like textile industry, if hard water causes the wastage of the soap, exactly, and precipitation of calcium, magnesium will affect the fabrics. Okay, so we cannot use the hard water in the textile industry. Sugar industry, what will happen? The salts, the calcium, magnesium salts, due to presence of these salts, what will happen? The crystallization of the sugar will be interfered. So there will be difficulties in the crystallization of sugar. Now, dyeing industry. For the dyeing industry also we cannot use the hard water, as these salts will react with the dye. Understand? So it will also again interfere. Next, paper industry. Paper industry, why we cannot use? Because these calcium magnesium salts also affect the quality of paper. And pharmaceutical industry, hard water may cause some undesirable products, and thus the reaction, whatever the preparation, synthesis, whatever the synthesis of the pharmaceutical products, that will be also again interfered by this compounds, by these salts. And another one is that is steam generation in boilers. Generally in industry, in factory, we are using the boilers for generation of the steam. Now into that boiler, if the boiler will be fed with the hot water directly, what will happen? A scale will form inside the wall of the boiler, and it will be destroy the efficiency of the boiler, and after all the boiler will be damaged. So that is why these are the some of the disadvantages for the using of hard water for industrial purpose. That means in domestic purpose or for industrial purpose, we cannot use the hard water. First of all, we have to remove the hardness of water, and after that soft water we can consume, we can use as a domestic purpose, as well as we can use for the industrial purpose also. Okay, now here is the next topic is the classification of hardness. Generally, hardness is of two types. One is temporary hardness, one is permanent hardness. Temporary hardness is generally generally causes the bicarbonates. Generally, if the bicarbonates of calcium, magnesium are present into the water, that will cause the temporary hardness of the water. And if the chloride, sulfate or carbonates of calcium, magnesium are present, so that will cause the permanent hardness. Now temporary. Temporary means these hardness can be very easily removed. Only if we boil the water, that will be removed very easily. And permanent, for permanent hardness also, as this is permanent, but this hardness can also be removed. But for this removal of this permanent hardness, we have to apply some of the complex method. We have to apply some add some the reagent to remove this permanent hardness. Understand? So these are the two types of hardness we have. One is temporary, one is permanent hardness. Next we will see the removal of temporary hardness. Now removal of temporary hardness. Generally, as I told you, temporary hardness generally mainly caused by the presence of bicarbonates. Bicarbonates of calcium, bicarbonates of magnesium, they are responsible for the temporary hardness. And this temporary hardness can be removed very easily only by boiling the water. Only if we boil the water, the all type of this bicarbonates will be gone. Understand? So that is why it's the term we are using for this hardness as temporary hardness. Okay. So if we have calcium bicarbonate, we are just boiling the water, and what will happen? This calcium will be precipitated out as the calcium bicarbonate, and carbon dioxide will be evaporated, and after all we are getting the fresh water, soft water. Okay. If we have the magnesium bicarbonate in our water, so what will happen? Magnesium will be precipitated out as magnesium hydroxide. Okay, and we will get the carbon dioxide will be evaporated. So thus magnesium bicarbonate also will be gone. Okay, so by boiling, you can see just by boiling the water, very easy process, just by boiling the water we can remove calcium bicarbonate and magnesium bicarbonate. Calcium bicarbonate as calcium carbonate will be precipitated out and carbon dioxide will be evaporated, and for magnesium bicarbonate, magnesium hydroxide will be evaporated and carbon dioxide again will be magnesium hydroxide will be precipitated out and carbon dioxide will be again evaporated. Okay, now we will see the removal of permanent hardness. Removal of permanent hardness. Generally, there are two type of removal process. One is external process, one is internal process. In external process also there are three types of process we have. One is soda lime process, one is zeolite process, and one is ion exchange resin. And for internal process we have three, that is Calgon conditioning, phosphate conditioning, and colloidal conditioning. These are the some of the process, internal process and external process that we have for the removal of permanent hardness. Why permanent? Why permanent? We are using this term as for removal of this hardness we have to apply some of the complex method. We have to use some of the chemicals. So removal of this hardness is not easy at all. That is why we are generally using this term, that is the permanent hardness. Okay, so external process. Now first of all we will discuss about the external process. So first external process is, that is soda lime process. Soda is, that is soda, that is sodium carbonate, and lime is calcium hydroxide. That means in this process we use both soda and lime. Both compounds we will use for the removal of permanent hardness. Like if we have in our water sample magnesium sulfate. So in presence of magnesium sulfate, water will show permanent hardness. Now we have to remove this magnesium sulfate. How? By using this soda lime process. So what we have to do? First of all, we have to use this soda and lime, and this is the reaction. So what is the reaction? First, magnesium sulfate will react with the lime, and this magnesium will be precipitated out as a magnesium hydroxide, and calcium sulfate will be produced. Next, this calcium sulfate again will react with the sodium carbonate, that is soda, and it will form, then that calcium will be precipitated out as the calcium carbonate, and sodium sulfate will be generated. So that means if we use soda and lime for the removal of this permanent hardness, like we have magnesium sulfate, what will happen? So magnesium will be precipitated out as the magnesium hydroxide, and calcium will be precipitated out as the calcium carbonate. Understand? So thus only in our water we have the sodium sulfate, which is soluble salt and which doesn't have any problem. So that is why thus we can remove the permanent hardness by using the soda lime process. Now next process is zeolite process. Okay, zeolite, actually zeolite is sodium aluminosilicate. Sodium aluminosilicate. Okay, so zeolite, generally what will happen, this is the structure of the zeolite. Zeolite, what will happen, this is the structure of zeolite, and we have zeolite, uh, the number of different sizes, porous sites we have. So in the zeolite, if the zeolite is like a sheet, and into that zeolite we have some of the porous sites of different size, what will happen if water will pass through this porous side. In water, if we have calcium chloride, consider the calcium chloride we have in our hard water. Okay, so calcium plus 2 will choose the perfect porous side to be stuck, and chloride Cl minus also will choose the perfect porous side to be stuck. Understand? So what will happen? So from the outlet, whatever water we are getting, that will be free from calcium and chloride. Okay, why? Because all the calciums, all the chloride will be stuck here into the porous side. Okay, now zeolite, the different sizes, zeolite having has the different porous size, and that is the most advantageous thing. Why? Because if we have magnesium chloride, so the calcium, the size of the magnesium and calcium will be different. So there will be also option for the magnesium plus 2 to be stuck into the shape. So that is why this is the utility of using the zeolite process. You can see here the hard water will pass through this zeolite process, and then here we are getting the soft water. Okay, so from this outlet we are getting the soft water. So this is the total diagram of the zeolite process. Now, and the next process is ion exchange resin. Also, this ion exchange resin we are using for the demineralization process. Like in chemistry department, you are using the distilled water. So how distilled water we make in our lab? By using this ion exchange resin. Okay, so ion exchange resin, what will happen? There are two chambers we have. One is cation exchange resin, and second chamber is the anion exchange resin. Okay, two chambers we have. One is cation exchanger and second one is the anion exchanger. So cation exchanger means here all the cations will be stuck. Okay, like if this chamber will have the negative ion, this chamber will be the negatively charged, if this first chamber. Okay, so what will happen? Negative charge will attract the positive charge. So that is why all the cations whatever we have in our water, that will be stuck here. Understand? Now again this water will flow through the anion exchanger chamber. Okay, so here what will happen? This chamber is positively charged, this second chamber, you can see. So all the negative charge will be absorbed here, because if it is positively charged, so it will attract the negative charge. That is why it's called anion exchanger. Okay, so after all, whatever water we are getting from this outlet, that is free from the any type of cations, any type of anions. So these ion exchange resin also we can use for removal of our permanent hardness. Understand? So these are the three types of external hardness, external process we can use for the removal of the permanent hardness. Next removal of permanent hardness by the internal process. Now there are three types of internal process already I have told you, that is Calgon conditioning, second one is phosphate conditioning, and sorry, okay, and third one is colloidal conditioning. Okay, so Calgon conditioning, generally this material is called by Calgon. This complex is called by Calgon. Okay, sodium hexametaphosphate. So this is called Calgon. Now what will happen if our water contain calcium sulfate? What will happen? Calcium sulfate, in presence of the calcium sulfate, the water will show permanent hardness, right? So For the removal of this calcium sulfate, we use the Calgon. What will happen? Calgon which react with the calcium sulfate, and it will form the calcium. The sodium will be whatever sodium we have, that sodium will be replaced by the calcium. You can see here. Look, Calgon will dissolve into the sodium plus, and this is the complex anion. While this anion will react with the calcium sulfate, so this sodium will be substituted by the calcium. Okay, and that will be calcium will be precipitated out, and after all in our water we will have the sodium sulfate. Okay, so by this Calgon use of this Calgon, we can remove the permanent hardness. Next is phosphate conditioning. Phosphate conditioning, generally we use the sodium phosphate. Okay, so like consider we have in our water calcium chloride. So in presence of calcium chloride also, the water will show the permanent hardness. Now we have to remove this calcium chloride. How? By using the sodium phosphate. That is why it's called phosphate conditioning. Okay, so in presence of sodium phosphate, what will happen? Calcium will form the calcium phosphate and it will precipitate out. Okay, and sodium chloride will remain into the water, and which is not harmful. So that is why calcium, thus by using this sodium phosphate, we can precipitate out the calcium as the calcium phosphate, and this is called phosphate conditioning. And the last one is, that is colloidal conditioning. Colloidal conditioning, generally first of all you should know what are the colloids. Colloids, generally what will happen, the solute particles, the size of the solute particle will be higher. That is why it cannot dissolve into the solvent. It is sparingly soluble. Okay, like starch solution. Starch cannot dissolve into the water. It will be sparingly soluble into the water. Okay, so now these systems are called by colloids. Now what will happen? Or water, oil in water will be called by the colloids. Yeah, because they are not mixing with each other. Now what will happen if we colloidal conditioning means if we use this kerosene, tannin, gel, oil like substances, if we coat these substances inside the wall of the cooking utensils, inside the wall of the boiler, what will happen? Whatever scales are forming, that we can remove very easily. Okay, so that is why it's called colloidal conditioning. So these are all the Calgon conditioning, phosphate conditioning, colloidal conditioning. These are all the internal process for the removal of the permanent hardness. Okay, so thus these are the some of the complex methods like soda lime, geolite, or inoxane resin, and some of the internal process. These are the some of the chemicals. By using these chemicals, we can remove the permanent hardness. Understand? Okay, so these are the recapitulation whatever we have discussed so far today. First of all, we have done one problem that is based on rate constant of BOD reaction. In our previous class also, we have done we have solved some of the numericals, and today also we have checked the problems which is based on the rate constant of BOD reaction. Next, we have defined what is the hardness of water. Next, we have seen that how can we classify the hardness of water, and the at last we have known we knew the process of all the process of removal of hardness of water, that is removal of temporary hardness as well as the permanent hardness. All these things we have uh, seen today. So next day we will discuss about the more parameters of the water quality, and also we will discuss about the eutrophication. So thank you, students. You have to follow my uh, video study material, all the things very well, otherwise you cannot do the assignment. Okay, so please follow the classes very properly and submit your assignment within the time. Thank you, students. Have a safe day.